Hello everyone, class is in session. That's right, I am Mr. The Jobber from Cultaholic School. Mr. Pacini is off this week, but it's only for this week, so don't worry about it. He'll be back next week. But for now, I am covering Graded SmackDown Live, which this week was from Tampa, Florida, which until now, in my mind, was a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater level. And I'm quite happy today, but to make my mood even better, SmackDown opened with just the queen of our hearts, Becky Lynch. What a fantastic wrestler. What an amazing person. She opened SmackDown, and honestly, this is in all seriousness, I think this promo really cemented Becky as one of the top baby faces in wrestling right now. She's unanimously cheered by everybody. Very, very likable indeed. Loves fighting, loves competition, which is always a good sign of, a strong baby face. And also just sort of laid out her intentions prior to her title match at SummerSlam with Carmella. Then Carmella came out, and whatever you want to say about the booking of Carmella recently, or maybe even her skill in the ring, you can't argue with the fact that Carmella is one of the most charismatic women in WWE right now. She cut a weird promo where she was trying to be really nice to Becky. She was going, look, we should build each other up, we shouldn't be trashing each other. I know I've done some bad stuff, but you've always been one step ahead, Becky. You were the first women's SmackDown pick or something like that, and I was the last one, and now I'm the champion, but I've still got a lot to learn from you. And Becky was like, this seems dodgy, and it was. So Carmella went for a handshake. Becky sort of did that wrestler thing where they're confronted with a handshake, and it's like in an RPG where you get like yes or no, and you've really got to just select between, and she just froze like that waiting, and then Ellsworth's music hit, and they both turned around like, oh, what the hell's going on? Why is James coming out now? But really, it was all a ruse. Carmella hit Becky from behind, and it looked as though Becky was going to get DDT'd onto a chair, and then Charlotte Flair came back to save the day. What an action-packed, incidental opening to SmackDown this was. So Charlotte was checking on Becky in the ring while Carmella went away like, oh, I'll get you next time. It was, this was a really good opening segment. I'm going to give it an A-. I think it was just lacking that little bit of extra oomph or the little bit of extra energy just to take it maybe into the A or A+ bracket, but I have no further complaints. I thought Becky was a great babyface. I thought Carmella was a sneaky heel, and we had the big exciting return in the form of Charlotte Flair. So a wonderful opening to SmackDown Live from Tampa. Collect all the skate letters, kids, and do a combo on that rail. Next up, we had another return of two people we haven't seen for quite some time. The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro. They were taking on the Usos in tag team action, the winner of which would go on to face the New Day next week, and then the winner of that becomes number one contender for the Bludgeon Brothers Championship at the Survivor Series SummerSlam. Not Survivor Series at all, Jack, you idiot. This was a good match, it was a bit of an all-action affair. The Usos flying around the Bar, sort of smashing them whenever they could. And the biggest spot came when one Uso, can't remember which, came off the top looking to leap onto Sheamus, but Cesaro slid into the ring in the nick of time and hit him with an uppercut as he fell. Really, really cool. Sheamus then rolled up the other Uso, and the Bar picked up the victory. I thought this was wonderful. I'm going to give it a B+. I thought it was a really fun, energetic opening match for SmackDown, and I enjoyed the New Day on commentary as well. That was pretty fun. Even though there were a lot of voices talking at once with the other commentators, it was still quite fun, and I thought it was alright. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the Bar do next. I'm guessing they're going to lose to the New Day because you don't want a heel versus heel, Bludgeon Brothers versus Bar situation, although it could be some kind of draw and then we get the Bludgeon Brothers versus the New Day versus the Bar at SummerSlam. Next up, we had Samoa Joe's promo. Oh, wow. So Samoa Joe came out right, authentic, legitimate as ever, came out, cut a promo on AJ Styles, who wasn't actually on SmackDown this week, and basically just said, look, at SummerSlam, he cut one of those promos where he doesn't raise his voice, he just talks in a level tone, but it's very, very menacing. And he went, AJ, you know what, I think your family are going to be rooting for me at SummerSlam because they want their daddy back. Oh, that's a dagger to the heart. Wow. This was quite surreal to watch for me because just hours beforehand, I'd been part of a WWE conference call with Samoa Joe and heard him very politely and very eloquently deal with a lot of questions. And then one poor guy, asked him, you know what, you've had some great matches with AJ Styles, in TNA and stuff, with such a high bar set between you guys. Do you think that you can live up to that bar? Do you think people will be satisfied with the SummerSlam match? And he just went, no, I think the bar's too high and we won't be satisfied. And there was just a horrible silence, and the guy went, hello, excuse me? And Joe just went, it's just not a very good question. And I was like, whoa, an awkward situation. But this promo, I'm going to give an A-. It was nothing blow away, it was nothing incredible, but it was still very good. Perfectly sets Joe up as the big villain of the piece going against the smaller, pluckier champion at SummerSlam. But at the same time, it didn't make him seem like a threat that Styles, can't overcome. Neither man is really the favourite going into this match, and I think that's what makes it potentially one of the most exciting of SummerSlam's entire card. Next up, we had Jeff Hardy, who came out to cut a babyface promo where he said, the US Championship was part of my life force and was part of my connection. It deepened my connection with the WWE Universe, which is a very Jeff Hardy way of explaining why mid-tier titles are important. But I think it makes sense. I think it just about checks out. Then he called out Randy Orton. He said the most important thing right now is to beat Shinsuke Nakamura and win back the US Championship. But the second most important thing is to get revenge on Randy Orton for his heinous attacks, like the one where he pulled on his earlobe. Then Orton came out in his veins and he came to the ring. And it looked like they were going to have a bit of a fight, but then Nakamura came in from behind and just blindsided Jeff Hardy, kicked him in the back of the head. Then he set up for the Kinshasa, and Orton stood in his way weirdly and then went, no, go ahead. And then Nakamura drilled Jeff Hardy with the Kinshasa, took off to the back, and then Orton did one of his weird attacks again. When he doesn't really beat someone up, he just does disgusting things, or like slightly annoying things, I guess. Like he took off Jeff Hardy's sleeve, he poured water on his face and wiped off some of that face paint, and he also stole his necklace, his pendant, and took that to the back with him as well. So, yeah, this was an odd one. I'm going to give it a B. I'm not certain what Randy Orton's motives are at all. Hopefully that gets explained. This is how I felt, though, during the whole Wyatt family storyline with Orton. I kept giving it the benefit of the doubt. I was like, this is going okay. This is going okay. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying that Luke Harper doesn't like it and that little mini feud going on. I'm enjoying that Bray Wyatt completely trusts Randy. What's going on? Why has he just burned down his house? Why are there bugs in the ring? What's going on? Randy's the champion. House of Horrors match? What's going on there? Limousine? It's over. I don't want it to, I'm worried it's going to become that again. But for now, I'm going to continue giving this the benefit of the doubt. I enjoy how Orton and Shinsuke have a weird dynamic. I don't know if Orton's controlling Shinsuke or they're like a team, or whether Shinsuke is just using this opportunity to weaken Jeff Hardy before he has another crack at the belt. So I'm not too certain, but yes, a B grade for a confusing yet intriguing segment. Next up, we had Zelina Vega versus Lana, a match that was pre-announced before SmackDown this week. And you know what, right? This was a bit of a sloppy match, which given, Lana's not the crispest wrestler, Vega hasn't had too much main roster experience. I don't think she's even had that many matches in NXT, but considering all those things, this was actually pretty enjoyable, pretty damn good, because you know what, I'd rather have a bit of a sloppy match with, really good storytelling and everything that made sense, rather than a really crisp match that has bad booking behind it. And I enjoyed the booking here. I thought it was good. I enjoyed all the little things that everyone did. Vega was a great heel, being cowardly and mean in sort of equal measure whenever the situation called for it. Lana was kind of plucky, kind of babyface-ish, but also retained that sort of ruthless edge that she's gained from Rusev. The crowd were well into it. If you listen to this, the crowd were pretty hot. It was cool seeing Almas on the outside, hyping up Vega in the way that she usually hypes up him during his matches. It was nice to see that the dynamic works exactly the same the other way. And eventually, Almas tried to distract Lana, and then Aiden English came out, yanked him off the apron, but it actually still distracted Lana, and she was rolled up with a handful of tights by Vega for the 1, 2, 3. I'm going to give this a B. In terms of the quality of the match, like if this happened on Raw in the midst of like the Natalya weird feud with like Alicia Fox or whoever she's having a match with this week, then you know what, it probably would be bogged down by overbooking and stuff. But because it happened on SmackDown where everything seems a lot clearer and a lot more crisp and the crowd were into it and it all made sense, yes, I think it deserves a B, even if the moves were a little bit off. Then backstage, obviously, Aiden English apologised to Lana. She told him to go away, and then Rusev came along and she went, I could have used you out there, and Rusev went, oh, I'm sorry. And Lana's accent's pretty much gone right now. She's just an American. Speaking of Americans, American heroes, Daniel Bryan hit the ring next and cut a savage promo on The Miz. So Daniel Bryan basically ran down The Miz saying, you know what, I could easily beat him in a fair fight. He only got the jump on me last week because of trickery and shenanigans and fake babies. And then said that Miz will never be remembered as a Rock or a Cena because the fans know that he's soft. Oh, that is low, Daniel. Then The Miz appeared on the Titantron flanked by 2 security guards despite being off somewhere promoting his reality show. So that was very funny and very Miz-like. I like how he had security guards there just for this promo on the Tron. He ran down Daniel Bryan and said, you know what, the last time I talked to you was on Talking Smack, or the last time, you know, the first thing that sparked this off was on Talking Smack, and you walked away because you couldn't handle the truth. Why don't you let your contract run out and then go and wrestle in some bingo halls or something? I was like, wow, it's all kicking off. Then it proceeded to kick off less and sort of get more annoying, because it turns out that WWE have kind of done that thing where there's a feud that could just be intense on its own, just leave it alone, and they jam in an arbitrary element. The element in this one is babies. So the Miz just played a lot of baby crying sounds through the speakers and annoyed everyone in the arena, and that just ruined the promo for me. It was still strong at first. The promo was still strong at first, so I'm going to give it a B-, but that baby stuff at the end, can't deal, I've choked. I'm okay. That baby stuff at the end I just found so irritating. I don't know why, but you know what? It was still a solid promo and continued a good show in Tampa, Florida. Skitch on that car. Do a grind, fakey to fakey, distract the security guard. Here we go. And finally, Carmella versus Charlotte Flair in a match where if Charlotte won, she would be put in the main event or the title match at SummerSlam. And you know what? She did win. She made Carmella tap out clickety clean to the figure 8 leg lock. And that means that she gets added to the match between Becky Lynch and Carmella. Now, I like this because it adds a whole host of new dynamics to the match. Can Becky trust Charlotte? Can Charlotte trust Becky? Is Becky going to snap, turn on Charlotte because she's sick of her moments being stolen and overshadowed by her friends? Is Carmella going to sneak out a win because those two can't stop fighting? Is Carmella even going to get a look in? Is her belt doomed? There's so many things that could go on, so I enjoyed this booking decision, and the match was okay too. So I'm going to give it a B. Props to Becky for standing backstage and selling Charlotte's victory really well. She was like, oh, goddamn. Like, she looked really annoyed. You can tell that she was certain that she was going to beat Carmella on her own, and now that Charlotte's in the mix, her chances of win drastic go down. Overall then, SmackDown Live from Tampa, Florida gets a B. You might think, by looking at the grades that I've assigned to the various segments of the show, that it would be better than a B, maybe a B+, maybe even an A-, but there's one crucial thing that sort of deducted points for me, and that was there were only 3 matches on the show, and none of them were particularly long. So even though it was a good show and I enjoyed pretty much everything that was on it apart from the babies crying, I still thought, you know what, there's not really enough wrestling on here for me. But still, an above average show, a great one. SmackDown continues to be far and away the better brand than Monday Night Raw, so long may it continue if you're a fan of SmackDown, I guess. And yeah, thank you very much for watching Graded. I've been Jack the Jobber, or Mr. the Jobber, from Cultaholic.com. You can follow me on Twitter if you want, at Jack the Jobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic, and you can check out our Patreon too if you wish, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, to join us.